If a young woman tells you her problems, it means she wants to psychology tips. Not every signal is a green light, bro. Fellas, you ever been just minding your own business, drinking coffee, fixing the garage door, or enjoying the peace that comes with age, when suddenly a younger woman shows up? She's got that soft voice, big eyes, maybe holding a chai latte or some stress, and she starts talking. Ugh, my life is a mess right now. Can I tell you something? You listen. You nod. Your brain starts spinning. Is she opening up? Is this a signal? Maybe. But probably not. Here's the deal. When a younger woman starts telling you her problems, it doesn't always mean what you want it to mean. If you've ever misread these moments, or worse, acted on them, you're not alone. We've all been there. But today we're breaking it down. This is your no-nonsense, no BS guide to decoding what it actually means when she vents, opens up, or trauma dumps into your coffee break. And we're doing it the right way, with humor, honesty, and a big dose of real-life experience. 1. She's not looking for a fixer. She's looking for a listener. Fellas, here's something every man between 35 and 70 needs to tattoo into his mind. A young woman telling you her problems doesn't mean she's handing you an open invitation to fix her world, marry her troubles, or play hero with a cape. No, it usually means she just wants you to be present, quiet, grounded, listening, not typing out blueprints for her salvation. We men have been trained since childhood to be fixers. The faucet leaks? We grab the wrench. The lawnmower sputters? We roll up our sleeves. A buddy's car won't start? Pop the hood. And when a woman says, "I don't know what to do," the male brain kicks into overdrive like a mechanic revving an engine. But here's the secret hidden in plain sight. She doesn't need a mechanic. She needs a mirror. Someone who reflects her words back without judgment, without interruption, without racing to the finish line. That is the golden rule. Don't fix. Just listen. Be there. Think of this real-life situation. She walks in, shoulders tense, eyes tired, and says, "My boss totally disrespected me today." Now the male reflex is instant. Then quit. Find a better job. Logical, efficient, problem solved, right? Wrong. She doesn't want a resignation letter drafted in your head. She wants you to nod, to look her in the eye, to maybe say, "That sounds rough. I hear you." You must understand, to her, that response is not weak, it's powerful. That is connection. That is empathy. That is what turns a random conversation into emotional intimacy. If you bulldoze her feelings with your quick fix hammer, she'll look at you like you just stepped on her dog, and you'll be left wondering why your so-called love advice didn't land. This is where psychology tips come alive. Don't confuse listening with silence. Listening is an active sport. It's leaning in, nodding at the right time, catching her sighs, noticing the words she lingers on. It's paying attention not to solve, but to understand. Dating tips that actually work aren't about having the cleverest comeback or the smoothest solution. They're about showing her your safe space, not a lecture hall. Women measure connection not in answers, but in presence. That is why you must resist the urge to repair and embrace the role of listener. Here's another contrast to lock in your mind. When she shares her struggles, she isn't testing your handyman skills. She's testing your emotional patience. Don't interrupt. Don't rush. Don't weaponize logic. Be the calm in her storm, not the weatherman predicting rain. That's where profound love advice starts, not with a fix, but with a pause. When she feels heard, truly heard, her heart opens. And that is when attraction builds naturally. So, remember this. If a younger woman is unloading her frustrations onto you, don't misinterpret it as a green light for romance or a call for Mr. Fix-It. Sometimes "Yeah, I hear you" is worth more than 10 clever strategies. You must be her listener first, before you ever dream of being her rescuer. That is how men of wisdom win respect, trust, and yes, sometimes even love. If you're looking for psychology tips that cut through the noise, start here. If you want dating tips that don't backfire, learn this discipline. And if you crave real love advice, not recycled cliches, engrave this truth on your heart. Don't fix, just listen. Because often the most powerful move is not the loudest answer, it's the quiet nod that says, "You matter." 2. You're the trusted older brother, not the backup boyfriend. She might be 10, 20, even 30 years younger than you. That gap doesn't intimidate her, it reassures her. You're the calm, seasoned man who's lived through storms and come out wiser, not the guy sending sweaty gym selfies at 2 a.m. In her eyes, you aren't the dangerous mystery or the heartthrob she can't figure out. You're something rarer, the safe, steady presence who listens without judgment. You're the man who makes her feel like the world isn't such a scary place after all. That's not a knock on your appeal. That's high praise. But make no mistake, it's not the same thing as an invitation to romance. Here's a common situation. She leans in, sighs, and says, "You're like the kind of man I wish my dad was." It hits you right in the chest, doesn't it? Feels warm, noble, protective. But be careful. One wrong word, one wrong glance, and in her mind, you won't be the trusted older brother anymore. You'll become that creepy old guy. And once you cross that line, there's no crossing back. Understand this clearly. When a young woman places you in that fatherly, brotherly role, you're not running the race. You're managing the sidelines, holding the water bottles, and keeping the younger players safe. You may have the wisdom, the patience, and the confidence she craves, but she's not secretly hinting at romance. She's leaning on you for stability. That is what makes you valuable to her. Don't confuse it with attraction. Don't mistake comfort for chemistry. This is where love psychology comes into play. If your true relationship goals are to attract women in a way that's healthy and mutual, you must learn to recognize the categories she's placing you in. Be the trusted listener, yes. Offer your perspective, yes. But don't read every tearful confession as a secret sign she wants more. That will only set you up for frustration. You must remember, not every signal is a green light. Instead, focus on the real markers of interest, her body language, her laughter that lingers, her eagerness to spend time with you when she doesn't need anything. That's where attraction lives. When she seeks your company just for fun, not just for advice, you're moving into different territory. Until then, don't sabotage yourself by misreading her words. Be wise, be patient, know the role you've been given, and if you want something more, go where the signals are real. That is how you set true relationship goals and attract women in a way that builds respect, not regret. 3. She wants to believe good men still exist, and you're proof. Maybe she just got ghosted, lied to, or strung along by some smooth-talking Chad who swore he was different but turned out to be the same disappointment as the last. Then there's you, calm, steady, no games, no passive-aggressive emojis, no cheap jokes when she's opening her heart. To her, you represent what Marcus Aurelius called the good man. Consistent, reliable, unshaken by chaos. And that is powerful. Because in a world where trust feels like it's dying, where modern relationships are full of swipes, ghosts, and broken promises, you stand as proof that not all men are trash. You show restraint, you show presence, you show that old Stoic strength mixed with modern Stoic awareness. You're not trying to flirt mid-crisis. You're not exploiting her vulnerability. You're simply there, and that, whether you realize it or not, helps her rebuild faith that men of character still exist. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That is exactly your role in these moments. Your reaction defines your worth. Don't act like the others. Don't give in to weakness. Don't let your desire override your discipline. Because here's the twist. After you give her hope, she may walk right back to Chad, who promises he's changed. And you're left with your lukewarm coffee and a life lesson. But don't be bitter. Don't see it as a loss. See it as training. See it as sharpening your discipline. That is Stoicism in action, modern Stoic wisdom built on old Stoic foundations. She may not choose you, but that doesn't erase the value of who you are. The test wasn't about winning her. The test was about mastering yourself. In today's modern life, men lose themselves chasing validation, chasing fleeting attraction, chasing the illusion of control. But you must rise above that. You must anchor yourself in strength. You must become the kind of man who doesn't break when someone else chooses wrong. You must see rejection not as defeat, but as proof that you stood tall when it mattered. Remember what Seneca said: "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That is what these moments are. Trials. They reveal your character. They reveal whether you are grounded in stoicism or swayed by impulse. The truth is simple. When a young woman tells you her problems, it doesn't always mean she wants you. Sometimes it means she wants to believe men like you still exist. And that is enough. Your victory is not in winning her back from Chad. Your victory is in knowing that you showed her what strength, dignity, and self-control look like in a man. That is where modern Stoic power lives. That is where old Stoic wisdom breathes again. And that is how you master life, not by chasing every woman's approval, but by living as proof that true men, good men, disciplined men, still walk this earth. Don't doubt it. Don't falter. Stand tall. Be the rare gem. And never forget, the world needs fewer Chads and more men who choose to live with Stoic strength. If this message opened your eyes, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe for more psychology tips and share it with someone who could use this wisdom. Your role as proof that good men still exist is powerful. Never underestimate it. Comment to remember, I am living proof that good men still exist. 4. You're being tested, and you don't even know it. And this is where smart psychology tips save you from tripping over your own ego. You think you're just having a deep conversation, but she's quietly running a character scan. How do you react when she vents? Do your eyes dart when she mentions an ex? Do you rush to fix what isn't yours to fix? Do you turn her struggle into your audition? Don't. Be calm, be steady, be decent, because if you lean in too close, drop a slick "if I were your man" line, or mistake her honesty for an invitation, you just disqualify yourself, not only romantically, but as a trustworthy adult. That is the moment she learns whether you're safe or self-serving, and you want to be the former. You must treat her words as information, not opportunity. Don't chase validation. Provide stability. Don't problem solve uninvited. Ask clarifying questions. Say, do you want me to just listen or help brainstorm? And then, respect the answer. That is emotional discipline. That is leadership without theatrics. That is the kind of presence a younger woman expects from a grown man who has lived a little. You must maintain appropriate space, literally and emotionally, because proximity is not permission. Keep your shoulders relaxed, voice even, eye contact warm, but not hungry. Avoid the flirt mask of the helpful hero, because she wasn't looking for a savior. She was looking for self-control, reliability, and discretion. Remember these psychology tips: safety before chemistry, listening before lecturing, boundaries before banter. In practical terms, don't triangulate the conversation back to you. Don't compare her ex to your greatness. Don't weaponize advice to look wise. Instead, mirror what you heard. Sounds like you feel blindsided by that change at work. Then ask one grounded question. Then pause. Be the quiet harbor. not the storm horn. If she wanted flirtation, the signals would be unambiguous. Time alone, playful reciprocity, consistent follow-through. So until you see that, act like a gentleman with a spine. You must understand the subtext. She is assessing whether your presence lowers her stress or raises it. Pass that exam by being predictable in the best way. If you're tempted to steer the talk into romance, take a breath, move the spotlight back to her experience, and keep your frame. And yes, this is love advice in the grown man lane. Attraction isn't built by needy moves, but by respectful restraint. Adopt dating tips that reflect maturity. Set a clear boundary with yourself. I don't flirt with someone who's emotionally raw. End the chat gracefully. I'm rooting for you. Happy to listen, again, but take your time and then leave it there. That is how respect looks in practice. Later, if she circles back with lighter energy, initiates, or asks to see you one-on-one, you'll have your answer. And if not, you've still behaved like the kind of man other people recommend. And remember, don't confuse access with intimacy. Don't confuse vulnerability with invitation. And don't confuse empathy with entitlement. The win here is character. The bonus is credibility. Internalize these psychology tips, sprinkle in only the love advice that keeps your dignity intact, and follow dating tips that are simple, strong, and sustainable. Listen first, speak second, never perform, always protect. Be the man who can hold a story without trying to star in it. That is how you pass the test you didn't know you were taking, and that is how you earn the only green light that matters, the one freely given, not awkwardly grabbed. 5. Your emotional shelter, not the final destination. Listen carefully, gentlemen. Sometimes a young woman comes to you, not because she wants romance, but because she's drowning in stress. Job problems, friendship drama, boyfriend chaos. It all piles up until she needs a safe place to breathe. That place is you. But don't mistake her relief for attraction. You're not the finish line in her love story. You're the bench on the side of the marathon where she sits down to catch her breath. That is love psychology at work, and you must understand it if you want to attract women wisely and build healthy relationship goals. You are her emotional Airbnb, warm, safe, reliable, the kind of place that gives temporary comfort without asking for anything more. But never forget, guests check out. She'll vent, you'll listen. She might even hug you, look you in the eyes, and whisper, "You're amazing." And then, hours later, she'll post a picture holding hands with her boyfriend on Instagram. That is not betrayal. That is reality. Don't confuse kindness with romance. Don't confuse comfort with commitment. Think of yourself as the warm cup of soup on a cold night. Comforting, soothing, even healing. But no one marries soup. It's nourishment for the moment, not a lifelong vow. If you're serious about your relationship goals, you must learn to draw the line. Be strong enough to support, but wise enough not to sink. That's how you protect your dignity and keep your heart safe. Here's the secret. Women respect the man who can listen without losing his balance. They admire the man who can be present without begging for more. That kind of self-control is magnetic. It shows strength. It shows boundaries. And ironically, that's often what truly helps you attract women. Not desperate pursuit, but calm independence. Love psychology teaches us that the man who doesn't chase validation, but instead builds his own emotional foundation, becomes the man she can't ignore. So be clear with yourself. Don't get lost in her storm. Be the shelter, not the sponge. Be the strong tree she leans on, not the ground that gets trampled. That is how you play the long game. That is how you align with your true relationship goals. And remember, sometimes your role is to listen, not to love. Sometimes your power is in knowing when to stay still and when to walk away. And if you find today's content very interesting, Please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comments section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. 6. You're a life coach, not a love interest. When a younger woman turns to you, opening up about her doubts, whether it's about her career, her relationships, her financial decisions, or even if she should block her ex, understand this clearly. She isn't inviting you into her heart romantically. She's inviting you into her mind for guidance. She doesn't want passion. She wants perspective. Don't blur the lines. Don't misinterpret her need for clarity as a hidden desire for you. She recognizes in you the scars of battle, the calm of someone who has endured storms, the quiet authority of a man who has lived. That is why she asks. In this noisy world, where everyone pretends to know everything and social media drowns us in shallow advice, a younger woman finds in you something she can't easily find in her peers: depth, experience, and steady judgment. That is what Stoicism teaches us. Be the rock, not the wave. Marcus Aurelius, the old Stoic philosopher and emperor, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Apply this truth here. Don't let your mind invent fantasies where there are none. Don't let desire replace discipline. She isn't testing your masculinity. She's testing your wisdom. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse on the shore. Ships come close, not because they want to live in the lighthouse, but because they need its light to survive the storm. That is you. That is your role. And if you mistake her search for light as a signal of love, you destroy the very thing she came for. You must resist. You must choose mastery. A modern Stoic understands that victory is not measured by conquests, but by self-control. An old Stoic knew that the greatest power is to rule oneself before ruling others. Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." Don't be a slave to impulse. Don't be the man who mistakes respect for romance. Instead, embrace the higher role she has given you: mentor, coach, guide. That is the badge of honor. When she seeks your counsel, it's because she trusts your judgment more than the fleeting opinions of her friends. She doesn't see you as a fling, she sees you as a fortress. And you must hold that ground. You must protect it fiercely. In modern life, wisdom has become rare, and rare things are priceless. So when she values your perspective, that is the highest form of admiration. Don't ruin it by trying to turn admiration into attraction. Be the compass, not the distraction. Be the voice of clarity, not the echo of her confusion. And understand this: she respects you because you are not chasing her. That is the paradox of Stoicism. By refusing to cling, you gain real respect. By refusing to fall into the trap of desire, you rise above it. Epictetus reminded us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So react with dignity, react with mastery, react like a man who knows that his greatest victory is within. And here is the hard truth. If you blur the lines, if you let your ego drive you, you lose not only her respect, but also your own. You must keep repeating it until it burns into your bones. She wants perspective, not passion. She seeks guidance, not romance. She needs stability, not seduction. That is the law of wisdom. That is the path of a modern Stoic man who lives with discipline in a world without boundaries. That is the strength of an old Stoic who conquered himself before conquering an empire. Don't betray that lineage. Don't let weakness rob you of dignity. Stand firm. Be clear. Be strong. Remember, you are like Google. Everyone uses it. Everyone respects it. But no one takes it out to dinner. That is the role. That is the power. That is the victory. Live it, own it, master it. 7. Sometimes she just needs someone to talk to, and you're there. Sometimes, fellas, you've got to understand the simplest truth in human behavior. Not every word a young woman shares with you is a secret code, a hidden invitation, or a green light flashing your way. Sometimes she just needs someone to talk to, and you happen to be there at the right moment. That is reality. That is proximity. Don't twist it into destiny. Don't confuse kindness with attraction. A young woman unloading her stress into your ears isn't always an act of love psychology. It's often just the search for a safe space. She talks, you nod, and for her it may end there, no matter how meaningful it feels to you. She might thank you politely and walk away, and 3 days later she may not even recall your name, because what mattered was the relief she felt, not the man who stood there like a silent wall. You must see this for what it is, random human moments where you are cast in the role of listener, not lover. Be wise, not wishful. Psychology tips remind us that when people vent, they are processing their own emotions, not auditioning for a partner. The worst mistake a man can make is to assume every story she tells is an invitation to step in as her hero. Don't. That's where so many men stumble, taking what is ordinary and inflating it into romance. The right love advice is this: master the art of listening without attaching false meaning to it. That is strength. That is maturity. Women respect men who can hold a space without making it about themselves. You must be the man who can stand steady, who can allow a woman to cry, complain, or vent without turning it into your chance to impress. Dating tips often emphasize boldness and initiative, but here boldness means restraint, self-control, and understanding the boundaries of the moment. Be the older, wiser man who doesn't mistake every sigh for seduction. Don't be the one who creates heartbreak for yourself by reading romance into ordinary conversation. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. To nod, to smile, and to let her pass by like a traveler at a station, carrying only what she needed to unload for a moment. That discipline, that clarity, is what sets you apart from the desperate and the clueless. Real men know the difference between attention and attraction, between a venting session and a confession of desire. And when you live by that wisdom, you don't lose, you win. Because you never build illusions that crumble, you protect your confidence, and you preserve your power. Not every moment has a hidden meaning. Sometimes it's just life passing through you. The strength is in not taking it personal. Comment below to affirm. I don't take it personal. 8. You're her emotional detox, but not her love cure. After a painful breakup or a toxic relationship, many women need a safe place to land, a space to breathe, a person who feels steady when everything else feels chaotic. That's you. You're not a storm. You're not chasing. You're not a threat. You're simply there, like that old leather armchair in the corner, the one that never wobbles, the one that's always ready when someone drops into it after a brutal day. That's the role you play. You are her reset button, her emotional detox. And that matters more than you think. But here's where men often trip. Don't confuse being her emotional sanctuary with being her next adventure. Don't believe that just because she unloads her pain on you, it means you're her chosen man. Number. You're the pause, not the play. You're the station where she refuels, not the destination where she settles. That is the truth most men don't want to admit, but must face if they want to truly attract women the right way. See, love psychology is tricky. When a young woman tells you her problems, she's not handing you an invitation to romance. She's seeking relief, not passion. She's asking for ears, not arms. You must understand the contrast. She needs comfort, but that doesn't mean she wants commitment. Many men mistake gratitude for attraction. Don't. Be clear with yourself. Just because she feels lighter after talking to you doesn't mean she sees you as her future. That is why so many guys sabotage their relationship goals by misreading her need for safety as a sign of romantic interest. Think of it like this. A woman leaving a toxic relationship is like someone walking out of a smoky bar. She craves clean air, not fireworks. She wants to breathe again, not dance again. You are that fresh air. That's your value in her story. But remember, fresh air heals lungs. It doesn't make the heart fall in love. You must hold the line here. Don't let your ego trick you. Don't chase validation in her tears. Be the calm in her storm, but know your place in her chapter. And here's the deeper wisdom. If you truly want to attract women, you must learn to separate being useful from being desired. You must master the discipline of love psychology, knowing when to step forward and when to stay still. That is the mark of a man who understands relationship goals with maturity. Don't push for romance when she only seeks relief. Don't try to be her cure when she only asked for care. The man who respects this boundary shows strength, patience, and control, and that is far more attractive in the long run than any forced pursuit. So remember this: you're her emotional detox. You help her cleanse the pain, reset her mind, and breathe again. But you're not her love cure. Don't try to be. Be steady. Be wise. And if love is meant to grow, it will, on her terms, not because you confused her gratitude for desire. That is how you build true relationship goals. That is how you use love psychology to win with dignity. 9. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. Sometimes life teaches us that not every situation carries a hidden meaning, and not every word from a woman is a secret invitation. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. She had a rough day. You looked approachable, so she talked. That is not fate. That is not a romantic opening. That is coincidence. Don't confuse chance with destiny. Don't turn casual conversations into imagined signals. Being part of someone's random story for 10 minutes doesn't mean you are destined to write the next chapter. Epictetus, the old Stoic, said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That's exactly the mindset you need here. Modern Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Don't let your imagination lead you astray. Be disciplined. See the situation for what it is, not for what you wish it to be. The modern Stoic man understands boundaries. He listens, he empathizes, but he does not mistake vulnerability for attraction. He does not turn every coincidence into a prophecy. That is the strength of Stoicism, to stand firm in reality, not fantasy. In today's world, men are flooded with mixed signals, social media illusions, and endless advice on how to attract women. But here's the truth: Stoic men don't chase shadows. They don't misread kindness as interest. They know that control begins in the mind. Man conquers the world by conquering himself, said Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, and that is your rule of victory. You must master your impulses, sharpen your judgment, and refuse to be played by your own desires. Don't let hope cloud logic. Don't let coincidence become obsession. Listen, nod, and move on. That is emotional strength. That is masculine clarity. That is the path of the modern Stoic in a noisy, confused age. If you truly want to attract women and build relationship goals that last, focus not on guessing games, but on living with integrity, confidence, and clear intention. Women respect a man who knows himself, who does not mistake every moment of sympathy for romance. Be that man. Don't just survive conversations, master them. Don't just listen, understand. Don't just imagine, discern. Life is not about waiting for signs. Life is about creating meaning through action, discipline, and clarity. The old Stoic taught resilience. The modern Stoic lives it daily. And you, if you take this lesson to heart, will stop chasing coincidences and start mastering life. Gentlemen, at the end of the day, wisdom is knowing the difference between kindness and attraction, between being her safe space and imagining yourself as her love interest. If a young woman shares her problems with you, take it for what it is, a moment of trust, not a ticket to romance. Be the man who listens, respects, and values her honesty without twisting it into something it's not. That's what real strength looks like. So my advice to you is simple. Don't chase every signal. Learn to read them and be proud of being steady, grounded, and wise. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, my friends.